Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
I'm Dominica.
Hi, I'm Jesi.
And I'm Josh, and it's great to have you back on the panel, Dominica.
Thank you.
To break the ice, do you have any physical or intellectual talents that you would like to share?
I enjoy photography and writing. Those are the talents that I tend to focus my life on.
But fashion is one because look at your jumpsuit. It's adorable.
It
Got
is a
that
nice little
Stitch Fix. Let's do the free advertising.
Very cute. I love it.
Today we're going to be going over one of your picks. We're going over Castle Swimmer, Season 1 by Wendy, Lian, Martin. You have a discussion starter?
I do. It's mostly, who would you think that throughout this story that you sympathize with the most and why? Siren or Kappa?
That's a very tough question.
Yeah,
I think Kappa garnered more sympathy in my mind. He was as ingenue as they come. Ingenue was gold glitter. He was showered all over in it to the point that it was oozing out of him.
I found them both to be very sympathetic characters. If I had to pick one though.
Well,
You go first.
I was going to say, the reason why I'm asking is because I myself can't really decide. I feel like Wendy does a really good job making you feel equally, excited when they're excited and upset when they're upset. Dividing the emotions up between the both of them almost flawlessly. Just like I find like her sense of humor and her timing is impeccable as well. I feel like she handling each of their two stories and interweaving them together to the degree that I couldn't really decide who I felt more sorry for in this upsetting situation with Siren and the castle, the role that he was playing, how even when his mother was technically no longer queen, they still treated him as the prince, referred to him as such with the same respect. And so I feel like that put a lot of weight on him. And that helped, from me at least, garner a little bit of sympathy. And I feel like Kappa's situation overall is sympathetic. You know, he never asked to do this, and God forbid he does something wrong, you know.
Yeah.
So I feel like I had a little bit of an even go on both of them.
I felt like both of the characters were very relatable, maybe not to such extremes, but I mean, we've all been held to certain standards, and nobody wants to disappoint anybody, especially people who are looking up to you. Everything becomes a burden. Okay, so it wasn't bad that I couldn't pick one.
I think Siren, there were two different, Siren, I think he was more of a fighter, he was more of a, came off more as a rebel. But I think ultimately all he wanted was, he wanted the right thing, and he didn't feel that one person should have to die in order to cure the sharks' ongoing issues, and that they could have found another way besides killing one of them in order to make it happen. The one thing that probably took the point away from me as far as Siren was concerned is when he was able to get the key and unlock himself from the prison area, or the jail cell. The way that when he left, what he said to the older woman, the older shark woman, Selkie. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of S. Skiff is the one that he was childhood friends with. Selkie. What he should have said was something like, I'll be back for you, as opposed to, can't take care of you right now, bye. I think that took, if I was pairing him and Kappa as far as points are concerned, that's probably the deciding factor of what took points away from me. I liked his compassion and his ability to fight for what he thought was right. I would say that my concerns lied in other areas.
Another question I had was, do you feel like because of Siren's mother's, Suska, her crimes against either the people or even just her son with lying about the prophecy, do you feel like her punishment fit the crime? They
only really touched upon it at the end, because she wasn't even in the scene at the very end. They were just making mention of the fact that she was losing her position and that she was being held, being detained.
And I also feel like, too, that obviously a different world and a different kind of people, you know, maybe in our world, maybe the punishment didn't fit the crime, but we don't. I feel like we don't really get a good sense of what their hierarchy of rules are. Does that make sense? Like what they deem as like, oh my god, blasphemy, and like, oh, that's all right, because apparently, you know, killing somebody is just, you know, it's for the. What were we talking about with the dystopian before? The collective. So, I don't have very good answers to your questions. I'm sorry.
What were your thoughts about the collective, too? Because I thought they were a bit inconsistent.
Yes.
The collective, the other sharks. I mean, it was them as a collective. Because they turned very quickly as far as their...
I feel like the situation that they're put in with all of them dying and or getting hurt because of this curse, that when there's something for them to latch onto, whether it's their queen and the fake prophecy or anything else, that you grab onto it because it's all you have. So when something is proven wrong, that it would be obvious that, you know, you would turn quickly, especially if it was repetitious. There's nothing else for you to really kind of grab onto. So I think,
and I guess, if you're like scared and you just any glimmer of hope, you're gonna latch onto it and take it as far as it'll go.
But yeah, they did flip-flop very quickly in my mind. Even though he was able to talk Skiff into helping him out, even though initially he didn't, and he held his ground for quite some time. And then you also had the people that were looking to court him, the ones that were being tied up. It was the ones that went with him to help Kappa get out of the prison. They were taking a tour of the area.
With the other queens?
Yeah, the queens. Yeah, the other...
I don't remember them being there to court him. I just know that they went to visit them.
Because I think they knew that Siren was gay.
Well, I mean, they're both queens. So they're not gonna.
They're not going to be looking to court him. But I know that there were these people that that they were saying that Siren, not knowing about Siren's preferences, said that Siren might be looking for some princesses, if Siren's more into princes. Oh, we got them too.
Yeah, I liked her comedy. I like her inclusivity as well. Even when it comes to the different genders that she makes sure that she portrays, the different degree of sexualities. I know later on in like season 2, she'll explore more castles during their journey, the places they go, the new people that they meet. They do stay separated for quite some time. Where I am right now, they're still not together. They're going on their own separate journey. But she doesn't seem very afraid of portraying and just writing any kind of individuality. You know, she doesn't stray away from that. And so I think I found it a little bit refreshing how sexuality didn't seem to matter in this world.
I think that's a very unique thing.
Yeah, it's because I feel like you have movies and books where it's either glaringly sexual or like this person's gay, you know, and then you have like not included at all. You don't have that happy in between where it's just like we have the LGBTQ plus community. Did I get yes? No? Okay. I don't say it very often, so I always feel like I'm going to miss something. But you have the community here in real life that they want to be included and they want to be treated as normal individual people. And accepted and respected. And I feel like she does a really nice job how it's just normal and expected and respected.
And it's good that the story doesn't revolve around discrimination. It's a good thing that that's not the hurdle. Stories that have that hurdle are interesting to read, but
it's nice that for once it's not the hurdle.
I don't think I think that something different is always a good thing.
Yeah, and the other thing, in my opinion, too, is that one of the best ways to get acceptance is to give, you know, these characters, right, like other hurdles other than their sexuality, and to make, you know, this so accepted in the story so that it would never be a hurdle, can really help you like focus on the story and really, you know, I think that makes them truly included.
Did anybody have like a favorite, I don't want to say arc, but favorite like section of the comic? Because I know offhand for me, I really liked when Siren and Kappa were bonding through the bars of the jail cell.
Yeah.
That was like one of like the most prominent. I liked, you know, a lot of different portions of it, but that particular group of chapters and scenes, I really like seeing them bond through the jail cell.
I wish that it was a bit more substantial. I don't think they did enough. Depicting the physical bond that they had, they did a good job. Especially with the Kappa was the prophecy and had to, and would automatically be connected almost magnetically to Siren. To me, I think they could have done more emotionally. I think there would have been I think that it would have been interesting to see more of a emotional connection that was taking place between the
Something
bars.
more strenuous between them other than just that. I do get that.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I felt like the whole comic overall was very lighthearted.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you get a little too emotional, then you lose that lightheartedness. Not that I don't enjoy a good deep book, but, you know, sometimes it's nice to have just an easy, lighthearted read that just kind of makes you, you know, snicker or smile.
There's something that could have stuck with me, though, with that interaction.
Yeah.
Something a little bit more extensive, but not too much, because I know that it was a forbidden interaction. The only interaction they were supposed to have was Siren was supposed to kill Kappa, but he could never do it.
Well, I eat that kind of bonding up, and that's like one of my favorite things, whether it's in a TV show or a movie, just that cute little moment between the two people that are falling in love, and just adolescents that are just head over heels and they don't really know what to do about
Puppy
it.
love.
I love it.
I think the one thing that stuck out to me was how atmospheric it was. I loved how atmospheric it
The
was.
panels,
with
the coloring.
Yes, the visuals.
I believe you said the same type of thing. Obviously, it's very different about Kingsmaker too. Yeah, it was a very different color scheme, very different everything. But you said the same thing about it.
I feel like, especially now, growing up, I read graphic novels that weren't necessarily colorful. So you know, having the web series, web comics, yeah, whatever they're called. You know, having those in the colors and stuff, it's like you said, atmospheric. You know, you kind of know what you're going to read based on the color green, maybe, or the color blue, and like it's very easy flowing.
I liked they were on they looked like they were on cliffs. It almost looked like they were on land, but they were underwater. So.
Yeah.
And then when at the very end, the very last extra where Kappa was trying to go up to the surface, but he was just he was beginning to lose consciousness because he wouldn't be able to seize himself back on the ground.
I liked the balance between Siren and the other sharks in his castle, whether it's a relationship with his mother. It's not a perfect relationship, and I also feel like how they didn't immediately, I don't know, their relationship doesn't get fixed immediately. Like, it goes in a bad direction, which I feel is refreshing, at least from what I have read. It starts off in a good place, and then the trust is kind of lost. So I felt like that was an interesting part of it as well, in the relationship that Siren had with Selkie. I liked that one as well. And then the last question that I had for you guys was, if you were in Kappa's situation and being the beacon, do you think that you would feel the same way as he did, having the distaste for it, or do you feel like you would welcome it as the chosen one?
I would say I would question it.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I probably wouldn't welcome it. I don't want to be a chosen one. I really don't. I have no desire. So.
Yeah, there's too much of a burden.
Yeah,
that's how I
a lot of responsibility that I don't want.
And I love reading stories about the chosen one, whether it's, Harry Potter, or those of you who might know the Simon Snow series, even down to like Jesus' story in the Bible. Like, I've always been drawn to those kinds of stories with people with those kinds of destinies, whether they learn to embrace them over time, which is what I'm curious if Kappa's going to do in the future, or if he's going to keep denying this fate that he was given and then find who he really wants to be. Like, if he's going to keep being a slave to it, or if he's going to stand up and become it, or just leave it altogether. The routes that I find most interesting.
And then, it's also going to come up too, like, even if he does, decide to go and be his own person, is fate still going to make him the chosen one regardless of what he does?
Because obviously he's got that coming out of him, that force that leads him to whatever it is that he's destined to do next. Can you actually break that, or is it just a dream that he's going to have that's never going to become a reality? I don't think that I could live with that, but I know I would be too afraid to find out whether or not I could. Like, I would keep trying until I couldn't try anymore.
I think you can kind of, like you said, how you can compare it to Harry Potter. Like, at first he's like, I don't want this, but then he realizes, this is something that I have to do, and it's never going, I can never be my own person until I fulfill this. So, and he not only accepts it, but, he's ready to be a part of it. And I'm curious to know, too, if Kappa
Season 2
goes...
is in the works right now. I don't know how far along it is, but it'll be out. I've only read a couple of chapters into the second season because I just haven't had the time to go back to it. So I'm curious to see where she goes after this season, once I get back into it.
Do you have any final thoughts? Already. How would we rate this? 0 to 5 stars, half stars per minute, Dominica?
I actually enjoyed it a whole lot. I have read it a couple of times, so I'm gonna go with a 4.5 actually. And the only reason why it's not a 5 yet, and maybe it will be, maybe it won't be, it's not done. And so I don't want to give it like a perfect score until I can read it from beginning to end. But there was a lot of aspects in it that I found were really refreshing, not only from the fact that they're sea creatures, but how it kind of you can apply it to our world and we're not sea creatures. I found her inclusivity very refreshing compared to what you'll see in books and movies. Maybe not so much nowadays, but recently in the past, it was hard to come by pieces of art like this that handle the situations that she handled in the refreshing way that she handled. So I liked it from beginning to end, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go next.
I'm going to go with, I think maybe a 3.5 or 4, kind of in there. I liked the colors. I liked how very well drawn. Is it drawn or is it?
It's drawn.
Okay. I was going to say, is it drawn or is it computer stuff? So I loved that. It was very pleasing to the eye. I liked the relationships again. It was just, I found it to be very lighthearted. It was missing that depth, but again, I don't need that depth, so I don't want to say that oh my god, I love it, because, there's books out there that I loved even more, but I like it overall.
She's got to do an episode a week.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of panels and a lot of planning on her end.
I'm also interested to know where it goes, and like we just discussed about Kappa and how he's going to change, and I don't know, I thought the characters were adorable and everything was just lighthearted, and it was a good read. I enjoyed it.
I'm going to give it a 3 because I did like the atmosphere. It kept me attentive. I think that there were a lot that could have been better as far as the strength of the characters, the consistency of the characters, their interactions and their connections are concerned. I think that there were things that happened that were, I think that it had the basic success, but I think that it could have been better.
It is one of the most popular series on Webtoon.
Well, it's good on them, and it's recognized by Goodreads. Kingsmaker is not.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did recognize, I did notice that it
Mm-hmm.
was on Goodreads too, so.
I did like Kingsmaker better, though.
I don't know, I thought both were pretty solid, so, good on you.
Hey.
I like graphic novels as light-hearted reads.
I'm very, very picky with the graphic novels that I choose to read. It needs to be aesthetically pleasing to even get me to look at it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Castle Swimmer grabbed my attention immediately.
Yeah.
And then it was the characters and the relationship that kept me going. But again, that's not hard to do if it looks pretty.
Yeah.
And I feel like, Kingsmaker and Castle Swimmer both checked those off for me, so it was very easy to get me to read the first chapter and get hooked.
Yeah.
Is this a manga or just a graphic?
This is just an online comic. It's nothing else.
Okay.
I did actually find where you can buy Kingsmaker, but it's only in Korea, and you have to pay in pesos. But I did find it, but it's still only in Korea.
Because I think that it would be much easier to read something like this or a graphic text.
It's not.
Because a manga you read backwards.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not up to Wendy what they do. She has stated many times, you can find her on Tumblr, she stated many times that it is not up to her whether or not any products are made for this series or if it even becomes a physical book. It is all up to Webtoon because it is partially owned by Webtoon.
Gotcha.
What she does with it all has to go through Webtoon with their permission.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not against the idea. It just she's planning on this being the long comic of her career, so to speak. It has to all go through Webtoon. Whatever comes next, whether it's a new sweatshirt which her mother will wear all the time, one that has Kappa on it, or a physical copy, which I would absolutely love to have too. It's not up to her, so we shall see in time.
If you're interested in reading this, you can find it on Webtoons. I will leave a link down below. As we are taping this, it turns out that our discussion about Kingsmaker is actually the most viewed discussion from season 13.
Is it?
Really?
I'm so happy to hear that.
Right now.
That's
At
okay.
the time that we're taping this.
That's okay. I'll take
yeah.
it.
We'll see what it's like when this comes out.
How many offhand? How many views I have?
I want to say about 60.
I'm honored.
Because it was 56 when I checked, but I saw that it garnered more.
Oh, cool.
Bye.
That makes me happy.
Be sure to join us next time on another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading. Hi there, this is Josh, and on the next episode of Literary Gladiators, Larry, Sarah, and I will be discussing Red, the History of a Color by Michel Pastoureau. If you like what you see on this channel, please support us on our Patreon, for the money that we make will allow us to provide you, the viewer, with even more great content. Thank you, and for now, keep reading.